All right, guys, more quadratics. I hope you did okay with the problem from yesterday. Any questions, let me know. I want to see your work on that if you didn't upload it already. But we're going to do some more, maybe not quite as easy as the ones I gave you yesterday. The one last night was a touch harder, not a lot harder. But we're going to do some more today that I'm going to tell you how I want you to solve them. Okay? Are you ready? If I give you, let me just, can you solve x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0 by completing the square? Okay, that's how I want you to solve it. Okay? It's so much better when they're nice even numbers, but they're not always. Okay, so we have to get used to solving with fractions and being told how to solve them. Okay? You can't just do it however you want. So we're going to take this equation. It's already set equal to 0. And then what are we going to do to it? First step after we set it equal to 0 is, we're going to subtract the 1 and put it on the other side. Do you see that I left that space? Yeah? Because I know that I have to add something. Okay? My calculus kids will say, we always leave the space. It's so helpful. Okay? So that's why I continue to do it. I love it. And I even put these blanks because I know what I put in one blank, I have to put in the other. Okay? So completing the square, we need to go back to what is b over 2. Our fraction, b over 2 squared, is crucial. Okay? Crucial, crucial, crucial. That's what we're going to add to both sides. So my b is negative 3. Negative 3 halves squared. I'm plugging in that box. Okay? Now, I'm not always going to leave it like that. This is kind of, we're just getting introduced to it, so I'm going to leave it for now. But in general, I'm going to go ahead and square it. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. Okay? So, when I actually write this, I'm going to say x squared minus 3x plus. Why is that a plus? Because a negative squared will always be positive. Plus 9/4. Okay? So on the right side, I've got a negative 1 plus 9/4. Okay? Now, when I break it down and want to know, how can this factor? Okay, x times x is always x. What times what is always 9/4? Yes, I have this 3 halves, and so we will always put the b over 2 in each of these blanks. Now, this one I didn't square, so it will be negative. Okay? So, b over 2 is what I'm putting in this blank. So, x minus 3 halves times x minus 3 halves is simply x minus 3 halves squared. Okay? So, if you have the b over 2, which I'm going to go back up here right here, that will be the same thing. It will factor into every time. Every time. So I don't have to make it this long. Okay? So as we get going, we can make this process a little shorter. Okay? So this number right here will always be x minus b over, or x plus b over 2 squared. In this case, my b over 2 is simply negative. Okay? Now I've got to go deal with the right side. Okay? What's negative 1 plus 9/4? Well, it depends on you if you want to do fractions. Negative 4 over 4 plus 9 over 4. If you want to do that, let's do it because that's not the way we did it last time. So I'm going to make that 1 be negative 4 over 4 plus 9 over 4. How do you add fractions or subtract fractions? Negative 4 plus 9 is 5/4. And it's positive, right? So now I have an equation, x minus 3 halves squared equals 5/4. Okay? What are we doing? how do we solve for x? Yeah, we have to take the square root of both sides. I was going to change colors, but I'm not going to. What's the square root of x minus 3 halves squared? It's x minus 3 halves. Square root on the other side is a little bit more tricky. The square root of the top divided by the square root of the bottom, and it has to be a plus or a minus. We don't know the square root of 5, so we're going to leave it. We do know the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, I'm going to take all of this back over here. So now I'm going to add 3 halves to both sides. So now I have x equals, and I might even write it first, 3 halves plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. If you had left it plus or minus the square root of 5 halves plus 3 halves, it's the same thing. It's just which order do you want it to be, and I left that plus or minus to be in the middle. It's up to you. Now, I have 2 fractions with common denominators. Should I combine them? Should I simplify them? Of course I should. Okay? I'm going to say 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. Okay? If it's asking you for individual answers, well, then you're going to write 3 plus the square root of 5 over 2. 3 minus the square root of 5 over 2. Those would be my x equals. Okay? You've answered it. You're done. The book that I have even leaves them separated. I don't like that, but that's okay. It gives you 2 points. We have solved. Now, the thing with this problem is it would not factor. You couldn't factor it. So that's why I wouldn't ask you to do this one all 4 ways. Okay? All right. Let's do a different one. And I'll tell you, I want you to do or solve y equals 2x squared minus x minus 6 using the quadratic formula. Or the quadratic equation. Okay? So, very specific. Here we go. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? This is probably going to be the last time that I write that out for you. That should be in your brain. Okay? If it's not, say it 5 million times over the summer. Maybe not 5 million. 5,000 would probably work. Between now and when you come back to school in July, say it that many times. I'm going to ask you how many times you've said it. Okay? So, taking this equation, what is my A? What is my B? What is my C? A, B, C. Okay? So, A, B, C. B is negative 1. Okay? So, plugging in, x equals negative b. Well, it's already negative 1, so it's a positive 1. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, so it's negative 1 squared, minus 4 times a times c. Don't forget that c is negative 6 this time. Okay? All divided by 2a, 2 times 2. Okay? So here we go, 1 plus or minus the square root of. Now I might even go ahead and give an answer for my square root. Sometimes, okay, negative 1 squared is 1. Any negative number squared is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times negative 6, I believe, is 48. Minus a negative 48. So add the opposite. I have the square root of 49. Do you know the square root of 49? I hope you do. It is 7. Divided by 2a, 2 times 2 is 4. So here we go, 2 answers. We have 1 plus 7 divided by 4 and 1 minus 7 divided by 4. Okay? So 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 1 minus 7 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 4. Oh, I have to write that. Negative 6 over 4 is negative 3 halves. So x equals. That one didn't give me square roots, but it's definitely a fraction that would not be very fun to necessarily factor. Okay? It actually is factorable. It works out. Okay? Quadratics. These two pieces I need you to know how to do. I guess this one, let's go ahead and do this one with our calculator also. I still have the one from yesterday up there. We're going to y equals, and we're going to clear that one out. We're going to put a 2x squared minus x minus 6. And we're going to hit second calculate a 0. Okay, that gives us the graph. And then it's going to want to know what's my left bound. So I'm going over here. My left bound of the 0. Okay, you have to answer questions. Your calculator doesn't always know what you want. Then a right bound. So I go to the right of my 0. And I hit enter. And guess, you don't even have to move it. Negative 1.5. Is that negative 3 halves? Yes, it is. So, the next one I have to hit second, calculate again. I'm going to hit a 0. And it asks me for a right bound. You can go anywhere, left bound, anywhere to the left of the other point. I'm going to put it right there. If it doesn't matter, why not? Right bound just has to be on the right side. And now my guess, I can move it if I want. It's going to put me at x equals 0. X equals 2, y equals 0. It gives me the same two pieces. Okay? You've got this. You can do it. This one I'm going to keep kind of short. I'm going to put in some problems in another piece since you don't have a book. So look for those, and we'll finish that for our week. I will talk to you later. Put that away. Sorry. Have a good day.